Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you live here, own a second home, or just love visiting the west end of 30A, this one is absolutely for you. I'm coming to you today with a warm, fired-up community advocacy spirit because we are untangling the colliding forces shaping Santa Rosa Beach, Gulf Place, and Dune Allen. We're getting right into the facts behind the friction. And the big through line for us today? This is the district where residents just won a massive, generational conservation fight. It's huge. But now, we've got to defend that win against mounting development and, let's be real, crushing traffic. We're going to prove that local organizing really does work, and we'll look at the hard data of what comes next.
Okay, here's our roadmap. We'll start with the two hearts of 30A, unpack that incredible Topsail Hill victory, explore the Gulf Place anchor, look at solving the parking puzzle, dive into the clash between local traffic and state zoning, and finally, scope out the road ahead.
Section 1, the two hearts of 30A. Nature and community on the Western Gateway. This resident perfectly captures the deep emotional connection we all have to the land out here on the western edge of 30A. They're talking about Topsail Hill Preserve State Park, which is, without a doubt, the natural anchor of our district's identity. It's got rare coastal scrub habitat, miles of untouched shoreline, and something incredibly special: 3 coastal dune lakes. I mean, these are globally rare landforms found in only a handful of places on Earth. It is the absolute crown jewel of the corridor, and it perfectly defines that beautiful, precarious tension between preserving nature and managing a surging population.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Topsail Hill victory, protecting the coast from resort development. This is where we see one of the most inspiring examples of civic action in recent Florida history. Back in the summer of 2024, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection floated a truly shocking proposal. They wanted to allow resort lodging, disc golf, and pickleball courts right inside Topsail Hill Preserve. Well, the public opposition was immediate. You all rallied, petitioned, and organized practically overnight. And you know what? Not only did the state back off, but that fierce backlash drove a massive statewide response. By May 22, 2025, Governor DeSantis signed the State Park Preservation Act, House Bill 209, into law, totally prohibiting that kind of resort construction in state parks. And right in the midst of all that energy, a brand new $4.2 million visitor and nature center broke ground on December 20th, funded largely by partnerships and donors. Talk about taking a sudden threat and transforming it into permanent legal protection.
1,640 acres. That is a massive amount of pristine coastal scrub habitat completely locked out from golf courses and pickleball courts. It remains untouched. This number right here is the ultimate proof that organizing works. When a community speaks up with one clear, factual voice, you really can shape the future of your environment. On to Section 3, Gulf Place Community Anchor, the social heart of the West End.
So, while Topsail Hill is the natural heart of this district, Gulf Place is absolutely the social heartbeat. It's honestly the closest thing the West End has to a real town square. Every year between June 7th and August 30th, the Gully Amphitheater hosts the Gulf Place Sunday Concert Series from 6 to 9 p.m. Now, these free, family-friendly concerts are just a blast, but they serve a much deeper purpose than just giving us some good music. The broader 30A economy is heavily dominated by short-term vacation rentals, and that drives up rents and severely squeezes our year-round local merchants. So these weekly gatherings, they are absolutely vital. They drive consistent, much-needed foot traffic to the locally owned shops and restaurants anchored there, helping them stay afloat against surging overhead costs.
Section 4, Solving the Parking Puzzle. New infrastructure to manage the visitor surge.
Let's define a super important term right off the bat, because it's at the center of the county's entire infrastructure strategy: the bed tax. This is simply the tourist development tax paid directly by people staying in hotels or short-term rentals. What's really fascinating here is that the new $5 million 393 municipal parking facility, which added 74 much-needed spaces, was funded entirely by this specific tax on tourists, not your local property taxes. The lot serves as a brand new hub meant to stop tourists from parking all over and clogging up our residential neighborhood streets.
And here's another essential term we need to know: Regional Beach Access, or RBA. This just means a county-run public entry point to the Gulf. Understanding this is critical because getting thousands of people efficiently from that new 393 parking lot to these specific RBA points is literally the entire goal of the county's new transit strategy.
So the crucial point is the financial incentive the county is using. In April 2026, they launched a paid parking program covering the 393, Grayton Beach, and Van Ness Butler lots. For residents, it's a breeze. You pay a nominal fee of roughly $5 for the whole year. But non-residents, they're paying about $15 a day during peak season. The county is actively charging day trippers a premium at the lots to heavily push them toward using public transit. It's simple math designed to change behavior.
To actually handle that shift, a free beach tram launched from the 393 hub in March 2026. It's pretty slick. You've got an A to B route dropping riders at the Ed Walling RBA every 10 minutes, and a west route hitting Dune Allen and Fort Panic every 15 minutes. It's a really smart system. However, we do have to be fair to the realities of local government. Progress can be painfully slow. Take the Walton Dunes RBA project. It's supposed to add ADA-compliant boardwalks, restrooms, and 14 parking spaces, but right now it remains completely stalled due to an appeal before the Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Okay, Section 5, Traffic versus State Zoning Laws. The friction between local limits and state development.
Man, if you live here, you feel this quote deep in your bones. 30A through Santa Rosa Beach was built for a much smaller, quieter era. It's a 2-lane road, the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. When you mix cars, cyclists, pedestrians, and those low-speed golf carts during the peak summer surge, a staggering 45-minute delay becomes the daily norm. Traffic and pedestrian safety are absolutely dominating every single land-use conversation in our community right now.
To understand how the county fights back against that gridlock, you have to understand transportation concurrency. Now, I know it sounds like boring zoning jargon, but it's actually your best friend. Concurrency is a local rule stating that before a new project can be built, there has to be enough actual road capacity to handle the traffic it's going to generate. This rule is the ultimate weapon for residents and local officials. In fact, it's exactly what the Board of County Commissioners used to unanimously deny a major commercial project, the 30A Surf Club, back in early 2025.
Right alongside concurrency is the concept of proportionate fair share. This is basically the you break it, you buy it rule of development. It's simple math. If a developer creates new traffic, they have to pay a calculated fee to offset the cost of fixing the public roads that their specific project will burden. Which brings us to a highly specific, very impactful number regarding that 30A Surf Club denial.
$67,304.40. That highly specific fair share fee is exactly what the 30A Surf Club would have owed to offset the nearly 10,000 square feet of commercial space they wanted to put right at the intersection of US 98 and CR 30A. But because the surrounding stretches of road were already way over capacity, the county drew a hard line. The 5-0 unanimous denial proved that the county will enforce the math and push back on commercial sprawl when public safety is on the line.
But you know, local control only goes so far. And that brings us to a major conflict. You need to know the term by right. This means development that is approved automatically, completely bypassing some public hearings, just as long as it meets criteria set by the state. So while the county uses local concurrency rules to block commercial sprawl, new state laws are aggressively bypassing local zoning to force through residential builds.
And here is the friction laid completely bare. On one side, you have local control, fighting tooth and nail to protect a constrained 2-lane road. On the other side, you have state control. In 2026, 2 big state laws really shifted power away from the county. The Florida Starter Homes Act, or SB 948, allows single-family homes, duplexes, and up to quadruplexes to be built by right. Furthermore, the Live Local Act, SB 1730, lets developers completely sidestep local zoning for higher-density workforce housing. Now, to be entirely fair to all sides here, the state is in a tough spot. They are desperately trying to address a massive Florida housing shortage, but local officials and residents are left asking a very hard, practical question. How exactly will our 2-lane, 25-mile-per-hour road physically absorb that state-mandated density?
Let's look to the future with Section 6, the road ahead, planning for mobility through 2040.
As we wrap up this explainer, we really need to look at how the county plans to literally pave a way out of this gridlock over the next 20 years. The Walton County Mobility Plan is an incredibly ambitious blueprint. Step 1 involves investing $767 million across 257 miles of local roadways. That is a massive investment. Step 2 is designing and building the South Walton Connector Road, which will directly link CR 30A to US 98 to relieve the absolute worst bottlenecks. And Step 3 is the immediate, ongoing work, like the recent nighttime resurfacing on the US 331 corridor, just to keep the main north-south route functioning.
The urgency of these multi-million-dollar transit improvements honestly cannot be overstated. When a local rideshare driver calls the summer peak a chaotic nightmare, we have to listen.
The locals, the workers, and the small business owners at Gulf Place are the ones navigating this reality every single day. The roads are just stretched to their absolute limit.
So we leave you with this final, vital question. The conservation victory at Topsail Hill Preserve State Park wasn't a fluke. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that when this community organizes, your voice holds immense power. You won that fight. Now, as new state laws push density and summer traffic pushes the limits of 30A, how are you going to use that power next? Stay engaged with your local commissioners. Understand the zoning laws. Advocate for smart concurrency. Defend the community you've built. And whatever you do, keep paying attention to what's coming down the road.